Yes, my friends, here we are. Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters. Last one of the year. Last one of 2023. Moving into 2024. All right, so let me know where you guys are. If you're still growing stuff. If you're growing microgreens, how that's going for you. And if you're growing the wheatgrass, let us know how you like to consume the wheatgrass, all these kind of things, okay? Because as we go into the new year, we are going to be in the middle of winter. And so here, there's nothing left growing in the garden. Some green onions, kind of. Although they don't really grow right now, they just don't die. They just kind of go to suspended animation, which is great. You can still use them. And that's about it. Yeah, some of the herbs. There's actually still rosemary here. Rosemary, I know. It hasn't gotten cold enough this winter to kill the rosemary, so that's pretty cool. And did you guys know that chamomile is hardy to like negative 20 degrees? Yeah. So it actually self-seeds. It self-sows itself. From the stuff that I planted in the summertime. And then now the tons of like baby little plants. They're just big enough. They're in dormancy now, but they're going to break dormancy here in another couple months. And so pretty cool. So let us see what you guys are up to. Good morning. Brian Arie says, good morning, Nate and Tribe from the sunny high plains of Kansas. Much peace and blessings, Tribe. Yes, thank you, Brian. Same to you. Look to Nature says 12 people here, 13 likes. Nice. Yes, that's always good. I'm seeing 84 at the moment, but it changes, constantly. Cecily, hello, says hi from Western Australia. Happy New Year for 2024. That's right, my friends. We're going to start it off right. Hopefully you guys are watching my other channel as well, where we are talking about all kinds of good things to improve your life for the new year. Not least of which is getting a sauna happening in your life. And if you don't have a sauna happening, then you're definitely missing out. So there's a link in the description to the wood-fired sauna tent that I have. It's collapsible. I put it right out in the garden right now. And so that when the garden time comes, I just collapse the tent, put it in storage until winter comes. And it's so nice having a wood-fired sauna. It gets up to 220, no problem. 220 degrees. We sit in there and roast. Oh, it's so nice. Sweating, feeling good. You don't even notice the dreary winter anymore because of the saunas. So just had to let you guys know about that. There's a link in the description to the one that I have. Pam, good to see you. Says good evening, 7 p.m. in South Africa. Yes. Creative Soil, good morning, everyone. From finally a sunny day in Oklahoma. Yes, it hasn't been sunny here in a long time. Matt Green, good morning from New Mexico. Rune Master says, been crazy, rainy, and mild here in New England. Yes, very mild here in northern Indiana. Grant is visiting Italy at the moment. Wow, you're in Italy and you still have time to stop by. That is awesome. Thank you, my friend. Yes, I just started posting traveling videos again on my other channel, the third channel, Travel Like a Viking. So I think there's a link in the description to that video if you guys want to see. I'm storytelling about the 10 years I spent on the road and how I learned so many things. So check out that channel. And I'm releasing the videos every Friday at 12 noon. Yeah. Because I've stopped releasing videos on this channel for a while. We're just taking a break. We're going to start hitting it hard here. The season will be coming. Yeah, so we're just kind of going with the seasons and sort of hibernating the channel a little bit. We're still doing these, of course. We still have a pulse, no problem. But we are not putting out videos right now. So I got to get this thing out of the picture. Look at this. This fried leaf right here. Because look, guys, this is what the pothos can do. I cut the pothos, and this is 2 years. It's going on 2 years of just being in a vase of water. That's it. And I refill the water like once a month up to like here. And then that's it. 2 years. Now, they don't really thrive. It's just started to vine out, you see. They don't thrive. They can survive in water. But if it were my other ones in the, like I do the other ones, this would already be 10 feet long. But yeah, so they can survive in just water. They're magnificent plants. Hardly any other plant can do this. This is incredible, how hardy they are and how they've evolved to just, if they don't get the requirements that they need, they just go into a suspended animation. They just kind of slow down their growth. So yeah, the pothos, guys. But I got to get that burnt leaf out of the picture. Yeah. So that's good. How about that? Okay, so Leland says very mild in central Illinois. Finally got a little snow. Okay, yes, we have not got any really. Wendy says, I must be way behind because I didn't get the live stream until after 9 my time. Yes. 9. It is 12 noon here. So Regina says 220 Fahrenheit. What? I can only handle 180 max in our Finnish wood burning sauna. Yeah, it's pretty intense. If you've got a good Finnish sauna, you know, a real sauna, like a barrel sauna or a brick and mortar sauna, then you're going to be able to maintain that temperature so much easier. The tent saunas are, you know, there's trade-offs and stuff. So it can spike really high, you know, the temperature because you're like, got the stove. But man, I'm using dried, super dry hickory right now. Hickory and elm wood. So you guys that burn wood know what elm is like, and hickory. Burning super hot like a blast furnace. It's so wonderful. Then you pour the water on them rocks and yeah. I made a video about it on my Thrive Like a Viking channel just a couple weeks ago if you want to check it out and see it for yourself. Look to Nature said the Ruby Swiss chard is still kicking too in 6B. Yes, yeah, that's true. I've still got a couple leafy greens that are like surviving. They're not growing, they're not thriving or anything. But guys, it hasn't even been cold this winter. The coldest that it's gotten so far was like 17 degrees. I mean, that was only for a couple days. So it hasn't even gotten cold. I mean, normally the ground is frozen solid, but right now, not even close. Let's see. Hello, Stone Creek. Yes, hello. Big Wes. Hello, my friend. Says JMS to the lawn twice now. Been raining forever. So hard to see any obvious results, but the cilantro liked it inside the house. Yes, definitely. The JMS on the lawn would be a more long-term thing. So it will help you to cycle the nutrients a lot more. So you definitely still want to put that fish fertilizer in there or something like that. I mean, you know the lawns, but the plants in general will green up and grow more luscious with the fish fertilizer. Oh man, they love that stuff. So Angie says, Happy New Year from California. Yes, Happy New Year from Indiana. Val says, good morning, everyone, from chilly, cloudy, northern Arizona. I have kale and some onions and herbs still alive. LOL. In the 20s at night and mid-50s in the daytime. Yeah, pretty much same. So the first thing that we will be starting before long, I mean, it's still another month, but it's going to be the onions. So you guys want to make sure that you are growing the right onion for your area. Watch the video that I made at some point that describes, and it shows you the map, okay? And this map hasn't changed, the daylight hours. And so you want to see where you're at and grow the long day or the intermediate day or the short day. Short day, though, we've already passed the time. Short day, remember this, guys, short day onions are all grown over the winter time. Because the short day onion, the day length of onions, here's what it means. Long day onions, people think, oh, it grows during the long days of summer. Kind of, but this is exactly what it means. The long day onions will put out their vegetative growth. So you plant them in the early spring, and they put all of their vegetative growth as the days are getting longer. Meaning all their leaves, they don't produce any bulb in that time. So they're putting out the leaves as the days are getting longer. And then once the solstice comes and the days begin getting shorter, that triggers to the long day onion to stop leaf production and begin bulb production. And so in just you'll see in just like 4 weeks, it will go from having no bulb to having a nice, fat, solid bulb. Yeah. So that's why you want to, so as opposed to short day onions, short day onions you plant in the fall time, and they grow all their foliage as the days are getting shorter. Then when the winter solstice comes and the days begin getting longer, that signals to them to begin bulb formation. So the short day onions have just now begun to bulb. Yeah, because we had the solstice just a week ago. Now, the thing that we want to do with the onions, we want to plant them as early as possible. So onions are one of the few things that indoors they are going to be just fine for a long amount of time. One second. So let's see here. Jenny Grubb says the Egyptian walking onions you were going to sell from Uncle. When do we order and plant? Thank you. Very interested in them. Yes, good, Jenny. So the Egyptian walking onions is a totally different thing. The same family, they're still alliums, but they are a thing that when you plant these Egyptian walking onions, they just keep regrowing. They keep regrowing and multiplying. And so these ones, when we sell the batch this year, it will be in the late summer. Once the onions have set their top set and the onions have begun to fall over, and when they would naturally root in their natural environment, that is when we're going to ship them all out. And so you plant them in the fall, late summer, fall. Kermunge in says new-ish to the channel, but loving the content. All right, glad to have you here, my friend. So the onions are going to be the first thing that you want to start. All right, we're probably around here. I'm probably going to start them the last week of January, maybe the first week of February, and that is going to allow us to grow them up nice and stout. And remember this, guys: onions are one of the few things that you trim indoors. So we are going to keep them trimmed to about 5 inches. And this is going to make the onion focus on getting thicker rather than taller. And so that is... So it doesn't matter. If you plant them a bit too early, then that's fine, because we'll just keep trimming them. So so you'll let them grow to about 8 inches, 9 inches, and then we'll cut them at 5. And then we'll let them grow to about 8 inches again, cut them at 5 again. So I'll cut them maybe 3 times while they're indoors. And then we are going to plant them out about the beginning of April. April 10th, April 20th, depending, on the season. But they can take a hard freeze. The onions are very, very hardy. So you don't really have to worry about them. Unless the days don't even get above freezing, then it's still too cold for onions. But nights in the 20s and stuff, not a problem. Ben T, good to see you here, my friend. I don't think I've seen you here in a while. Says, anyone know Nate's email? I have questions about a consultation. Yes, at the moment I am accepting consultations, and so we can do that. gardenlikeaviking@gmail.com. And I like to set up through either Zoom or Google Meet, and we can do like an hour, and we could get a plan for your upcoming growing season if you want to do that. So let me know. Let's see. Grant says, chickens destroy mine. I thought I got them far enough away. Yeah, the chickens will destroy the onion. Chickens will destroy about anything. Creative Soil says, I kind of live outside. I was wondering when to start onions. Yes. So when is your last frost date there? Probably similar to here, middle of May. Is that right? If that's the case, then you can pretty much just follow along with what I'm doing, because it'll be about the right time. Because onions can take a long time. And onions are one of the few things that you need to buy. You pretty much need to get seeds each year, because the seeds oxidize. The seeds of onions oxidize very easily, and so therefore they do not stay good. So if you have like 2 or 3-year-old, definitely 3-year-old, but maybe 2-year-old, but you'll have not that good of success. Anything beyond that, the onion seeds will not sprout. So I recommend either harvesting fresh ones each year from your own, or getting fresh ones each year. Okay. That guy Chris says, Nate, will you be diving into growing indoor mushrooms and/or outdoor log plugs? Well, I was. I had the plan to do more mushroom videos this year, and I probably will here next month in January. But everything took a long time because I have to film all the videos first. So everything took a long time. You know, getting the spawn from the company, there was some confusion and stuff. But it's taken a long time to colonize because my house, I keep it at 56, 62 at the highest. You know, and so at this temperature, it's taken a long time. Now, this year we will be inoculating wine cap mushrooms. We will be doing outdoor inoculation of the wine cap mushrooms. Yes. On the channel. So here is one of the things. Here are some yellow oysters. All right. And this is from 11/29. So November 29th. Okay. So we're about a full month. Okay. So actually that's not that long really. Now this is with straw. So let us just peek in there. All right. You see I've got it all totally. So we pasteurized the straw and we inoculated it with the stuff that we got from North Spore using the link in the description. If you would, I get a little kickback. Okay, and so we can see it is just now colonizing the whole thing. You see? Now it is, and we don't see any black molds. We don't see any gray. We just see nice fluffy white. And this is the sign that we want, all right? This is the sign that we want. So pretty soon here, it's been about 4 weeks. Now maybe one more week, and we're going to remove these tape. We're going to remove the tape and place it into the humidification chamber. All right, we're going to put it into the very humid environment, 80, 90% humidity, a little bit of airflow, and fresh air. That's what we're going to do. And then these will fruit. These will fruit for several months. And I've got like 5 more 5-gallon buckets of these. But yeah, you can see that mycelium is starting to cover stuff. You see it there? That looks pretty good. So mushrooms, guys, contrary to maybe popular understanding, mushrooms are about like the opposite of plants in the sense that the mushroom does not utilize carbon dioxide. It produces it. It utilizes oxygen and produces carbon dioxide, the opposite of the plant. The plant will consume the carbon dioxide and produce the oxygen. And so it's all symbiotic. It's all beautiful. If you observe the forest, you see that the fungi and the mycelium are at the base, you know, releasing the CO2, and the plants are above, you know, absorbing some of that CO2, definitely. And also the mushrooms, they do not require light to grow, which is crazy. They don't photosynthesize, and so they actually only require light to trigger fruiting, because this is what's in here is actually the body. This is the body of the organism right here. Now, what we eat, the mushrooms, is actually more like the fruit. It's more like the apple of the apple tree, but this is the actual tree part. So that is what we're going to do. When we take off the tape, we're going to put it into the fruiting chamber, and that is going to have light of a 6500 of a daylight spectrum of light. And it's going to have high humidity. And so the light timer is going to be on a 12-12. Yeah, 12 on, 12 off. And that is going to be enough to trigger to fruit, because this type of mushroom colonizes logs. Like in nature, it will colonize logs. And so the mushroom will sort of infect the tree that is decaying, and it will consume the tree carbon, and the fungal hyphae will grow throughout the log and the inside, building up its strength, building up its body, building up its the organism. Then once it reaches finally the exterior of the tree trunk. Then it signals, okay, you've reached light, you've reached the area where now you fruit and your spores will be carried off to spread the plant. That is why they trigger when there is light and high humidity and airflow, oxygen. Because when it's sealed, it's producing huge amounts of carbon. There's CO2 in here in the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands parts per million. And ambient is like 400 parts per million. What we're breathing is 400 parts per million. A grow room that's supplemented with CO2 is at like 1,000 parts per million. You don't need more than that. But what can be in here, when it's sealed up, can be like 20,000 parts per million of CO2. It's crazy. And it thrives in that environment. And so once it reaches the low CO2, the 400 parts per million of the ambient atmosphere, then it will say, okay, there's one trigger, and then there's the light, and then there's the humidity and the air. So now it's time to fruit. And that ensures that its spores will get carried away. So it likes a little draft as well. It's fascinating, guys. It's just so interesting. So there is that about mushrooms. And yes, this year we are going to inoculate wood chips with the wine cap mushroom spawn. Sean Murphy says, howdy, Mr. Nate. Have you ever had a batch of fish hydrolysate smell like booze? Yes, it can. It can smell like an alcoholic fermentation, like a wine sort of thing, but it's kind of an illusion. There's not enough yeast and sugars and all that stuff to actually create. It's a bit more involved to actually create like fish wine, it's so it just kind of smells like that. That can definitely happen with the bloom fertilizer, the banana one. It can smell strong like banana wine, but it's not really. So it's there's some, but not that much. So it's not a problem. With the fish hydrolysate, you just Sean says, okay, I was thinking I was having a relapse. Yeah, you're not gonna have to worry about that with the fish wine. Okay. And you just let it decompose longer, okay? You just let it decompose longer. Cape Gardener says, Nate, I made the lactic acid bacteria serum the way you said, but with low-fat pasteurized milk. Can it still be used? It can be used, yes. Did it work? I mean, did it separate? There would probably just be a tiny little thin layer. You're not going to get the cheese and stuff. And never under any circumstance do I ever recommend low-fat milk. Low-fat anything. Anything where the fat has been removed is too processed. The milk and all that stuff. So we want full-fat everything, always. Fat is very good for us, guys. I won't even start in the big rant about how it's a precursor to so many hormones, testosterone. The brain is 60% saturated fat, high quality fat. I mean, we need fats. It's what gives the fullness to the skin. What gives the oily, you can tell when someone's skin just looks healthy, when they just look healthy, as opposed to when they don't. They look all dried up and they got dark circles under their eyes. You need more high quality fats. So anyways, I know that wasn't the question, but it should be fine. The main thing is you shouldn't be buying low-fat anything, okay? Sean Murphy says, been using the lactic acid serum, to control the smell in the chicken shack. Spray it on the floor and all the smells go away. Definitely, guys, this is a huge plus. It can eliminate the odoriferous smells. Yeah. Stench. Some would call it a stench, of like the chicken coop or the hog. People do it with hogs and stuff. And I will use labs if there's mold on like soil blocks and stuff. You can spray it on that, and definitely works good. Works real good. I always keep a batch of labs. So Stone Creek says, Nate, what are your thoughts on wild turkey tail mushrooms? Absolutely. As long as you fully can identify them, harvest them. Harvest them, and I should make a video this spring on it. I'll make a video this spring on it, but I'll tell you right now anyways. The way to do the turkey tails is to harvest them, dehydrate them in your dehydrator at very low temperature, 135, for several days until they are bone dry. Okay, they're kind of like foamy though, but until they're as dry as possible. And then put them in your blender, your Vitamixer or whatever, and powder it. Full blast. And then take that powder and encapsulate it in the veg caps. That's the way to take that. Yeah. And then make a bunch of caps. And you can just take your own turkey tail caps. That's light years beyond pretty much anything that you're getting from a store. Now, I know a lot of supplement companies, supplement guys are going to be like, no, that's not true. See, we have a proprietary blend of blah, blah, blah. And it's made in this way, such special blah, blah, blah way that it's superior to the natural thing. And I just don't feel that way. I just don't. That's not congruent with my life experience. That's not how it works, really. So taking the actual turkey tail, powdering it, and consuming it is the way to go, in my opinion and experience. So if you want the many plethora of benefits in the mushrooms, the cognitive capabilities, yes, the mushrooms have a tendency to help protect the myelin sheath that surrounds the neurons, the nerve endings in the brain, and it insulates it. It's like kind of like the insulation on a telephone or on like a power line. You know, the insulation, how it insulates the things. Without the insulation, it's shorting all over the place. And that's kind of what mental degradation is about, and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And just the nerves can't communicate properly because it's all electrical impulses. And so when we consume the turkey tails or the lion's mane, these have compounds, millions of different compounds. But these have compounds that in them that help to nourish and protect and stop the degradation and even help rebuild the sheath, the insulation, the myelin sheath around the nerves. And so this is one reason why it's so beneficial for us. This is one reason why we need to have it in our life. This is part of a well-balanced, healthy, thriving lifestyle, is to consume mushrooms. Yes? So, Sean Murphy, any suggestions as to dosage when feeding labs to animals? Generally an ounce a gallon in their water. It doesn't take that much. So an ounce a gallon in the water, if you wanted to double that, it wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, if they drink it pure, it wouldn't be a big deal, but you're going to be wasting a lot of it. I mean, they don't need it like that. I feed it to the cat sometimes, kind of pure. I mean, I feed her just raw. Everything is raw. So I'll give her some raw chicken legs and stuff, and I'll just pour some of the labs in there, and she loves it, laps it all up. You know, when I was in California, we used to put it in the water, though, because there was too many animals. So, I mean, to be feeding it straight. So we would put an ounce a gallon in the water. Stone Creek says, wow, thanks for that turkey tail info. Yes, definitely. That's the way to do it. And that's why you want to do it. You want to dehydrate it at a low temperature. That's why you want to dehydrate it at the lowest temperature your thing will go, because you don't want to degrade any of these specialized compounds. Okay, 135 is plenty. You could even do it just at ambient with a fan on it if it can be fast enough. And you know, while you're encapsulating it, and I'll put this in the video as well, while you're encapsulating it, you can also mix in a certain proportion. You could make a mix. So you could make turkey tail. You could do the same with the lion's mane, and then you could add something like spirulina or chlorella, you know, a green, a chlorophyll-filled type thing. And so to help boost the blood, you know, the oxygen holding capabilities of the blood, you could put equal parts of those three into a basin and then mix it and then encapsulate that. And that is real good. Take 3 or 4 of those a day. And that's not taking pills. That's not even supplements. So that's real food. When you do it like that, we don't count that as far as taking pills. It's in an encapsulated form, but it's real food. We're actually consuming the food. You know, it's just powdered and put in this little thing. So that's how I would do it. That's how I do it. So Big West says, yeah, Paul Stamets is the online mushroom guy, mycologist. Everyone has to know about. Definitely very knowledgeable, Paul Stamets. Amy says, freeze drying wild mushrooms. Will the extreme cold temps of -60 damage the beneficials of the shrooms? I'm not sure about that. I'm not entirely sure about the degradation as far as for any of the food, really. I would think that it would actually preserve it just fine. I think it's in my experience and understanding, I know that heat is much more detrimental than cold to food, to preserving and stuff. So it would make sense that extreme cold would preserve it more than, definitely extreme heat will not preserve it, So I think that it would be fine. But if you're concerned, you may want to research that further. Yeah. Let's see. Sean says, LOL, currently looking for turkey tail on Paul's website. Yeah, turkey tail are very, very plentiful, around here at least. And they're growing all over my logs and all over. As soon as you go into the forest, they're everywhere. Cape Gardener says, thanks for the answer on the low-fat milk, Nate. It's very informative. I do appreciate it. And yes, it has separated. I don't actually make it for the cheese. I just use the liquid to drench the soil. Okay, yes, then it's going to work. It's going to work. Is it the best? No. The best would be raw milk. The best of all is raw milk. If you can't get access to raw milk, the next best is going to be organic, full-fat, whole milk. That's going to be the best. And then it will degrade from there. 2% organic, skim is a joke. It's like a blasphemous. We're just not doing skim, okay? So, yeah. And the very worst of all is the UHT milk. Like in Europe, they sell milk in little cardboard cartons that can shelf stable for indefinitely, and that is the worst of all. You can even make it with powdered milk, though. So it can be made, but if you're talking about if you want to produce the best, all of it's like your body. Your body is the sum total of everything that you put into it, everything that is consumed, both physical and mental, emotional, meaning thoughts, emotional the state of mind, all of this stuff. The body is the result of all of this, of what goes into it. And so the higher quality the inputs that go into it, the higher quality the experience is going to be, the higher quality the organism is going to be. You're going to be healthier. You're going to feel better. Everything's just going to be better. And likewise, if you put low quality inputs into it, you'll still survive, of course. People survive eating fast food and garbage for years, but they're not thriving. And nobody, don't let them try to fool you. They think they might be, I eat McDonald's all the time and I'm fine. Okay, well, we have different definitions of fine and thriving, So, yeah, you can survive eating Gushers and Hot Pockets all day, living in the basement and playing video games, but you're not thriving, okay? So it all has to do with the inputs. Now, this translates perfectly into the philosophy of gardening and growing. The inputs is what matters. So the better the input, the higher quality the input, the higher quality the end product. Because the plant is an expression of what is happening in the soil. And so when your soil is thriving, bursting with life, organic matter, got that good drainage, got that aeration going on, you take a handful of it, it just smells like just fresh rain and earth and like the forest floor. Yes, definitely. Smells like fresh cut grass a little bit. When you have that kind of soil, then that's going to produce something that is of a very high quality. And that's what you want, because you want the highest quality inputs to put into the body. It's all a cycle. It's all connected. And so it matters to people like me. And when you get deep into it and you see the cycles and everything, then it totally matters, the quality of the inputs. And so that is why we make all of our own stuff, because you can't really buy anything that is of as high a quality as we can make. Big Wheel Dog says, Nate, what nutrient-dense crops are easy to digest for compromised guts? 90% large bowel removed here. Wow. I can't even envision what that would be like. So, so, I don't have enough experience with that condition or what that would entail. So obviously, you're in communication with your doctor and whoever is leading all of that. Now, my thoughts on that would be potatoes. Potatoes are very easy to digest. Potatoes are simple to digest, and they are one of the few foods that you could eat entirely. I mean, you could survive on potatoes alone for a long amount of time, and people have throughout history, because it's not perfect, but it has everything that the body needs to sustain itself. Tree Rogi says, Dr. Nate. No. This is just my opinion and my experience based on my life. So I would say potatoes are very nutrient dense. Potatoes get a really bad rap in our modern culture, but so does butter, a superfood. I mean, literally a superfood. Real butter, raw butter. Even pasteurized butter is okay, but raw butter especially, how it was meant to be, is a superfood. All right, lard gets demonized. Lard is a superfood, very nourishing for the body and for the brain and for the hormonal system, and all that gets demonized, But potatoes get demonized because of, so many reasons, but primarily because people don't know how to prepare them. They prepare them wrong. People don't know, and it's everything that they eat with them, So I would say potatoes and sweet potatoes. Yeah, and you can remove the skins. If you need it to be extra easy to digest, remove the skins. There's still tons of nutrients, high quality carbohydrates, long chain carbohydrates, meaning complex carbs that will take a long time to digest. It's not like white table sugar, that boom is in the blood like that and spikes your insulin and all of that. No, the potatoes are good. Sweet potatoes as well, even though technically they are not even related to Irish potatoes. And beyond that, though, there's going to be a lot of fiber. So peas or carrots or beets. This is the main issue with plants. Issue. It's a double-edged sword. It's a wonderful thing. Good quality fiber found in plants is a prebiotic, meaning it's what the biotics eat. It's what the bacteria, it's what the 100 trillion, 50 to 100 trillion, I don't know who counts, but microorganisms that exist in your gut that are really determining your experience in the production of serotonin and all kinds of hormones. It's all related. So that is what they eat. It's very specialized kinds of fiber, like the kind of fiber that is found in onions. Onions are a wonderful prebiotic fiber. So if you eat, it's more important than probiotics. People take probiotics and thinking, well, okay, I took this pill that's got 200 billion probiotics in it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it doesn't really work like that, though. That's a product that's kind of a gimmicky. The best way is to nourish the biotica in your gut microbiome with prebiotics, good ones like onions, in particular the onion and the garlic is a very specialized kind of fiber that the bacteria loves to digest. And so you could take all the probiotics you want, but if you're eating a poor diet, it's not going to do anything. So you want to have the probiotics with things like this fermented ginger, lemon, honey, turmeric, yes, that you guys are loving, and all the other ferments that we have and that we do. But you also want to feed it with the good quality plant fibers, yes. Now, that's a double-edged sword because it's the fiber that's going to be irritating. It's going to be the fiber. If you have issues, digestive issues, it's actually best to stay away from fiber. And yes, the human body can survive and thrive on meat alone. It absolutely can. It's easier to survive on meat alone than it is on plants alone. And that's for many reasons. But if you have the issues, then you'll want to actually limit your fiber, because that is going to be really complex for the gut to digest. So I could go on and on about all of that, Sister Golden Hair says, I like that name, says pureed sweet potatoes, yum. Yeah, you could do that as well. I mean, I know you guys are making your own baby food out of like sweet potatoes. Definitely. You just boil them, boil them, boil them. You can mash them. You can you can puree them. Definitely, that's the real deal. That's how we made baby. That's how we've done baby food for a very long time. Okay, Pam says, we love sweet potatoes and potatoes. Cook them in their skins, then we remove the skins after. That's a good way to do it as well, definitely. Guys, I'm loving the way to do sweet potatoes, man. I'm loving it. Look, just take the sweet potato, and if you grow them right, they're going to be so sweet. And if you cure them right, they're going to be sweet and flavorful and nutrient-dense, soft, buttery. So I will actually skin it for the most part. I'll leave some of it. I'll rough skin it, and then dice it up into about 1-inch chunks, give or take, and boil them until they're fork tender. And then drain off the water and put the potatoes, sweet potatoes, back into the pot. And then I will add a huge slab of the raw butter. And while the heat is off now. So I'll use a huge slab of the butter. You could also do some lard in there, would be super good. And then just a little bit of garlic powder, pinch of sea salt, and if you like it really sweet, a little spritz of maple syrup. And then just let it sit there, shake it all around a little bit till it gets evenly coated. Guys, it is divine, so good, so nourishing, so delicious. It just checks all the boxes. It's everything that you want out of a food. And the sweet potato stores longer than any other crop, besides like dried crops like beans. So Jay Brammer says, what is the best seed potato to plant next year? The ones are planting. Next year, the ones are planting. This year's harvests are all sprouting in the basement. Right, yes. So if they're sprouting in the basement at this time, some of mine are doing that. Not many though. Most of them are still rock hard. So you want to make sure that you harvest them the right time, that you don't harvest them too early. See, most people think that when they're potatoes, and it's all on the internet, okay, when to harvest your potatoes? Well, as soon as the foliage dies back, then you want to harvest them. No, you want to harvest them as close to your frost as possible. I'll grow potatoes and leave them in the ground for a month and a half during August and September until right about the frost starts to come. Then I'll pull them up, because the clock on potato storage, only once you harvest them does the clock start ticking. And so if you leave them in the ground, that's what they're designed to do. They're designed by nature to capture the solar energy and to store it in the ground over the winter time so that it can then grow again. So long as they are in the ground and they haven't been disturbed, they will stay rock solid. So that's tip number one. That's the biggest factor, is to make sure you harvest them as late as possible. And then you want to make sure you don't wash them off, and you want them in straight up darkness. And you want them as cool as possible. In the 40s, in the low 40s is ideal, and humid. Root cellar sort of temperature. Hogue says, big thumbs up for our favorite Viking. Thanks for all the great info this year, Nate. Happy New Year. Yes, thank you. Yes, thumbs up. You are very welcome, my friend. Happy New Year to you as well. Miss KC says, all this food talk is nice. I'm starting the Master Cleanse on January 2nd. Last year I started in the first, and I will never do that again. Oh yeah, a little too much indulgence. But yeah, guys, it's a wonderful time to do the Master Cleanse. Definitely. Which, on my other channel, Thrive Like a Viking, I have the ultimate tutorials on everything you need to know about how to do that process, okay? It's a detoxification process. So in the new year, it's very beneficial to essentially think of it this way. You're changing the oil, you're changing the oil filters, you're changing the air filters. You need to change the detoxification system of your car. Otherwise, it will run like crap, even if it's a Ferrari. But you have to do maintenance on it. So you can see your body as the ultimate Ferrari, the ultimate machine times a million. And so you need to do maintenance on it. And so detoxifying through something like the Master Cleanse is very beneficial, very powerful, and I highly suggest it. because it cleans all the filters. Your lymph system, your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, all of this is filtered. Yeah, your colon in particular. The colon is so important to clean, guys. I cannot overstress that enough. It is crazy how much impact. I mean, you will see when you do the master cleanse, especially if it's your first one, you will see years. Even though it's been days, you haven't eaten anything in 7 days except the cleansing mixture, you will see years of impacted fecal matter coming out in your movements. And and it will have a putrid stench of death. And you're like, what? That's been inside me for years, guys, making you sick. And yeah, so it's that powerful, especially your first couple cleanses are just off the chain. Okay, so if you guys want to know more about it, go over to my other channel, Thrive Like a Viking, and we will get you thriving. Let's see here. Okay, so some of the guys are talking about Look to Nature says, Nate, question, Deanna K wanted onion seed saving info. I'd like to know as well. Okay. What kind of info would we like to know? So onions are a biennial, and they will, meaning that they will produce foliage and the bulb in the first year, and then they will store over winter, and then the second year they will produce their seed. And so if you want onion seeds, you have to, and you're growing from seed, okay, then you have to grow the onion and store it over the winter time, and then plant it out in the early spring. When you would plant all the other onions, you literally just bury the onion kind of like this, about this high. And then it is going to put down roots and start to put down foliage, and it's going to produce a big flower stalk. And then you want to let that flower go. The flowers are beautiful, big like this. And you want to let that go until it just starts to die back, and until you can look in there and you can see the black seeds. Don't harvest it before that, but don't harvest it much after that, because once the seeds start to poke through, you've got about a 1 week window to where if they poke through too much, then they're going to drop, and you're going to lose most of them. But if they don't poke through enough, then you want to, then they're not going to be fully developed. So they won't store as long. So you will take it then, and you will hang it upside down, the plant. You'll cut the flower stalk off, hang the plant upside down, let it dry. Be sure that you put a tray underneath when it's hanging upside down. After about 2 or 3 weeks, it'll be bone dry, and then you can just kind of shake it, and all the little black seeds will fall. And that's what you will plant for next year's, okay? This is why onions are a multi-year kind of, you have to plan ahead if you want to save onion seeds. So if you want to plant onions from seed, your own seed, it's going to be next year, and you have to start with the onions you currently hold in your hand. So is that what you wanted to know? And that is also, like Sam Potsick says, don't start your onions from sets. This is exactly why. Because onion sets are already in their second year of growth. And so most of the time, when you plant onion sets, you will get tons of onion flowers. And once the onion starts to put on, once it's triggered to begin flower production, there's no going back. It totally does not care anymore about bulb production, about leaf production. Nothing else matters to it except producing the seed. And so once that happens, that's it. The onion becomes tough. It can be like plastic almost. I mean, the consistency of wood or plastic. So it's not good. It's not for eating after that. So that's what happens with most people with sets when they plant onion sets. And if they don't go to flower, then they'll get like a mediocre size onion. Okay, maybe sometimes they're big. Okay, but they don't store nearly as long because they're going into their third year, which is totally unnatural for them. And so these, if you want good rock solid, I mean, these are rock solid still, guys. And I've got maybe 50 more in the basement still, both red and the yellows. And if you want them to store all winter long with the nice, strong sulfuric compounds, then you have to grow them from seed. Yes, I know. VA Green says, just finished a big pot of chili. My wife's going to think I did the master cleanse later. Yeah. Yeah, I get you. Let's see. Pam says, after this live show, I will be spraying all my plants with liquid calcium acetate. She's talking about the calcium that we make with the eggshells. So beautiful to see. The broad spectrum of bright colors amongst the veggie garden. Yes. Pam is in South Africa, so they are in their prime growing season right now. Yes? Yes. That guy Chris says, fun fact, they have discovered as many neurons in our gut as a full-grown dog brain. Follow those gut feelings, folks. Yes, definitely, guys. There is such a connection. We know that there's a brain-body connection, but there's also a body-brain connection. It works the other way. And so if you're wanting to thrive, if you're wanting to feel positive and enthused for life, guys, think of how important that is to be animated with the enthusiasm for life. And think about how undesirable it is to not have the enthusiasm for life, to just be kind of over life, and just kind of, oh, everything's a struggle. Okay, well, you got to lug around this huge fat body and these aching joints, and you got to, and you're addicted to all this stuff, these chemicals and foods and all that stuff. No, guys, this is not how we thrive. So we need to get the connection right between the body and the brain. If we've got this sick, ailing body, it is not going to produce a thriving brain in a positive state of mind, a clear, sharp, crisp mind. So if that's what we want, we have to create that. I mean, we have to nourish that, and we do that with all the practices that you see on this channel and the Thrive Like a Viking channel. Definitely, they go hand in hand. This channel is more for the body, more for the gut microbiome and everything. The Thrive channel is more for the mental, emotional, energy field. Yes, more for the mind. So, yeah, super important, guys. Super important. And let's see here. Another thing that's really good for the gut microbiome? Tallow. This is tallow we just rendered here, a couple weeks ago, and it's delicious, full of all kinds of good quality nutrients, and in particular the types of saturated fats, very good for brain health, and very good. The type of fat and cholesterol is wonderful for the production of testosterone, and it's a precursor to many hormones, also estrogen for women and stuff. Also men have estrogen as well to certain degrees. But if you want your hormones to be in balance naturally and your gut microbiome to be assisting you in enjoying your life, you know what I mean? Then you want to be consuming stuff like this, because that's how it happens. You also want to eliminate any processed sugar. You also want to eliminate processed sugar. This is super important. And you have to look at the ingredients on stuff, and you have to see, okay? And so, no, these types of sugars are not the same. A lot of people say, sugar is sugar. It doesn't matter what kind of a molecule, the molecule is the same. And no, these are people that are possessed by the ideology of too much science or of too much chemistry or something. They don't understand how the biological organism works. And so these natural sugars, this is maple syrup, the dark stuff, came from a friend recently in Vermont. This is maple syrup, concentrated tree sap. And this is blackstrap molasses, my favorite of all, loaded with iron and magnesium and all kinds of good stuff. You see how dark that is? You can't even see through it. These natural sweeteners, along with the honey as well that is in here, are in a particular type of form that this organism evolved to thrive with. So it knows exactly how to process these natural types of sugars. And that's because it has so many more compounds than just the fructose or sucrose in them, more than just the sugar. It has all of the secondary metabolites, or all of the secondary nutrients, phytochemicals and stuff like that the body needs in order to process it. Yes. So this actually barely spikes the insulin at all, the blood glucose. the molasses, because it is full of good minerals, guys, in particular magnesium. So many people take magnesium supplements and they think that, oh, I take a bit because they know how important it is. And they go on and on in medical literature and stuff about how important magnesium is. So they think, oh, I'll just take a magnesium pill, I'm good, and I can eat like garbage the rest of my life. No, that's not how it works, because that magnesium is not bioavailable. This magnesium is totally bioavailable. The body knows exactly how to absorb it, along with all of the phosphorus and magnesium and the different types of sodium and the iron that is in here. So the body knows how to absorb this stuff. And this is very important for digestive health. You're talking about digestive health. This type of magnesium is essential for the constriction movements of the intestines, the parasystolis movements. This type of magnesium is very crucial to that. And so if you're having sluggish digestive system, a natural stool softener, 2 tablespoons of molasses, definitely, because it's got that magnesium that is going to help the parasystolic movement of the bowels. And that's what we want, definitely. So you don't have to fear these kind of sweeteners. When you put these in your life, go ahead and load up on it. I mean, within reason, you know? And you're not just drinking maple syrup. You are putting it on stuff, you know? And so it's got other things to help with its absorption and all of that, okay? So there's my rant on natural sugars. Yeah, RK says, molasses makes me feel great after consuming. Yes, definitely. And you can actually feel it. I mean, you can feel the whoa, whoa, whoa. And it also is because the way that it needs to be digested is because it will attract sugars. It will attract sugars, it will attract water into the bowels in order to be digested. It's a wonderful thing that it does. It's so important to have easy, effective, regular bowel movements, guys. You have to be cleansing that stuff out of you. So if it's sluggish in any way, 2 tablespoons a day of molasses. I recommend making the Viking eggnog with the 5 eggs and the raw milk and this stuff. Wow, fantastic. It will have you thriving in no time. Val, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, Happy New Year. Thanks for all you do. Yes, you are welcome. And thank you. I got your donation on the PayPal as well. Thank you very much. Val says, yes, came for gardening information and got a whole lot more than that. So she is showing her appreciation, and I appreciate that. Ozark Valley, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, greetings, Nate. I have quite a bit of organic spoiled butter in the fridge. Is there some excellent use for it in the garden? Compost or what? Spoiled butter. I'm just trying to think. There's not like make a butter fertilizer. Not really. But you definitely can just add it to your compost. Definitely. You can put anything in the compost. If it's, so long as you're not like trying to make a hot compost, because the butter will take a while to break down, but you totally can compost it. Definitely. That's what I would do. But yeah, I don't know of any other, there's not like a fertilizer to make with it or anything like that. Yeah. And let's see here. Big Will Dogs got a question. Says, Nate, saw a video Simplified Garden did about accidental potatoes. Would growing potatoes/sweet potatoes in my half-finished cold compost pile be a good idea? You can. You know, I've allowed that to happen several times, and it just doesn't really produce that much. You know, it will produce more like what it's supposed to do in nature, you know, a few tubers and stuff. But I mean, you can try, but it's not going to be like, unless you dedicated that to potatoes, you know, and you purposely planted a bunch of potatoes in your compost bin, and it had access to grow, then yes, potatoes. So essentially the question would then become, can I grow potatoes in pure compost or mostly finished compost? The answer is definitely. That's what I did in them bags. And the first couple years, just phenomenal harvest. I mean, a whole bag full of potatoes because the whole thing was fresh compost. You know, So yes, you can do that. But accidental potatoes, yeah, volunteers, guys, there's volunteer stuff in the garden, volunteer tomatoes, volunteer squash. And about the only thing that really thrives being a volunteer is squash and cucumber, or well, squash, mostly pumpkins. Because like tomatoes and stuff, they can, but it really, over the years, I've just, your volunteers can be fun, definitely. But if you're like trying to grow potatoes so that you have a good amount of nice solid ones to store all winter, you need to do it intentionally. You need to prepare the earth in the way, you need to grow it intentionally. And that's pretty much with all plants, tomatoes, everything. That's how you're going to get the best, is by doing it intentionally. Amy says, Nate, thoughts on bokashi? Yeah, I don't really have a lot of knowledge, experience with bokashi because I never, to me, never got the point. I looked into it for some time, so I understand how it works on a biological level, but it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, well, but I already have a compost bin, and so it doesn't really. Maybe if you were like in a high-rise apartment or something and you needed your compost scraps to be digested in a way that didn't smell and that was like friendly for the countertop, then you could do bokashi. Yeah. But I just didn't practice it because I don't see any benefit to it. I don't see, if you have a nice thriving compost pile that is packed full of worms and microorganisms and stuff, then why? So those are my thoughts. RK says, what is your take on ghee? Is it on the same level as tallow for health benefits? Absolutely. Not quite the same level. They're different, but it's on the same level as far as beneficial. There's not the same nutrients, but ghee, definitely. It's just clarified butter. And I was even going to say that about the spoiled butter thing. I was like, I wonder if you could make ghee out of it, but I don't think it would work because it's already spoiled. So it's already spoiled. So, but essentially, yeah, ghee is just clarified butter with the protein solids removed. And what you're left with is a very fine, practically shelf-stable cooking oil, basically, a type. And it's very easy for the body to digest, very good for the gut microbiome. For the 2 years that I was vegetarian, and I was practicing intensely the Ayurveda way of eating, ghee is a foundation. It's in every meal. And it's like a quarter or to a third of a cup in each little dish and stuff. And so I was getting lots of the ghee, yeah. And my body was like craving it because I wasn't getting any other animal stuff. It was crazy. Those 2 years were crazy, but that's how I know that my organism does not thrive in a vegetarian environment. It thrives in an environment with a lot of meat, but also a lot of homegrown veggies, potatoes, sweet potatoes, garlic and onions, all the good stuff. It's not an either or. So, but with the ghee, definitely super high quality. Yes. It's going to be the most expensive, though, unless you have a milk cow. If you have a milk cow, then it could be your number one. But then if you have, other cows, then you'll also have tallow. So, yeah. Lard is the highest in vitamin D. You remember the rant I did last week about that there is, in 1 tablespoon of lard, there is more than 100% of your daily necessary intake of vitamin D, and it's in a bioavailable form. So many people are taking 5,000 IU of vitamin D, and they're just pissing it right out because the body doesn't know how to absorb that stuff. But in the lard, it knows exactly how to absorb it because it's bioavailable, and so that is what you want. A lard has about 1,000 IU. 1 tablespoon of good pastured lard has about 1,000 IU of vitamin D. And the recommended intake is about 600 to 800. Yeah, so it's fantastic. Butter has like none. The ghee has none, I think. And olive oil has virtually none. So, Leland, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. Says Happy New Year. Much appreciation to you and the tribe. Yes, we appreciate you as well, my friend. Big West says, I throw my steel tools in the oven and get them real hot, then spray with penetrating fluid and it soaks into every crevice, then wipe clean and burn the paper towel. Nice, yes. Talking about basically seasoning his tools. Harvesting Faith Homestead says, I think bokashi is for people that don't have the ability to do a pile. Okay, yes. So I agree with that. If you don't have the ability to do a pile for whatever reason, then bokashi would make sense. But even then, if you were like in a, yeah. If you're like in an apartment or something, but even then, even a compost tumbler would be superior to the bokashi, in my opinion. A compost tumbler is the least desirable method of composting because it's not in connection with the earth. We need the earth. We need the worms. We need the microorganisms. The composting needs access to the earth to do the highest quality stuff. If you're a commercial compost maker and you've got concrete bins and and you're turning it with a big backhoe, or you're turning it with a skid steer or something, then that's different. But if you're the home gardener or the homesteader and you're talking about making the highest quality compost, it's in connection with the earth, definitely. I don't even fully believe in like the Johnson Sioux bioreactor stuff. I feel like that's just way overkill, and that I don't see how that could produce a better result than high quality compost. I mean, just regular compost that you're making. The compost, if you do it right, it can be so high quality that. So yeah, that being said, maybe someday I'll experiment with the Johnson Sioux type thing. But again, I don't really get the benefit that much as opposed to just doing a normal compost pile. Look to Nature says, Nate, do you know the benefits of biochar to the worm gut? Well, I don't know in particular. I can hypothesize that if you powdered it, the biochar, it would be very good once passed through the gut of the worm. Maybe they will use it like a grit. Yeah, that's probably what they would do, is use it like a grit. And so it would help them to emulsify their food. And in the process, it would absorb the majorly beneficial microorganisms that are in the intestines of the worm. So I could see if you're using powdered biochar, it could be like a grit. I mean, a lot of people use powdered egg shells as a grit for the worms. So I could see it being used in the same way. Yes, Rune Master knows what's up. Says the biggest thing about vitamin D is taking it with fat. It's fat soluble. Lard is the perfect medium for it. Yes, definitely, guys. This is right. Fat soluble, so it needs a fat. Definitely. And we have to keep all of that in mind. Crystal Jones, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Hope you got up on the hope you've gotten up on the raw milk train. Definitely raw milk, raw cream, raw, all kinds of good stuff. That's a wonderful co-op if you haven't joined already. So, Harvesting Faith says, I totally agree with you on the compost. I think there are just different options for different living situations. We had a tumbler for a long time, but this year I finally ditched it. Yes, exactly right, is the different living situations. So if you are in the city, or you have mostly like concrete, or you need it to just be like cleaner, for whatever reason, then a tumbler works. Yes. So long as you do it right. Don't think that you're going to be consistently adding to your tumbler and then you're going to wonder why it never finishes. Because a tumbler, you need to load it up totally and then let it go. And don't touch it for months until it's done. And then, so you have to have, that's why they make 2-bay tumblers, because if you keep adding to it, it's never going to become ready. So Yes, Big Wes here is saying basically what I just said in a different way. And exactly. Worms pass biochar undigested, but their biome inoculates it further. Biochar is a rare item that improves the genetically passed down gut biome of the worm at the same time, making super worms. Nice. I didn't know about the genetically passed down gut biome, but it all makes sense, definitely. Let's see here. Tree Rogi says, been here the last year. Nate, you have grown 50,000 subscribers since I started. Congrats. Thank you, my friend. Yes, it's wonderful. Growing the community, definitely. I've learned that this is a very, very seasonal type of content, though. You know, how it drops off dramatically in the wintertime. But then it's going to pick back up in the spring, which is great. So, all about it. Now, a couple things, guys. Purple hull peas. I highly recommend. These things are delicious, and they grow very well in the hot, humid. So these things were not even phased at all by the drought, by the heat that we had, the drought and stuff. They weren't even phased by that. So they are purple hull pink eye peas. They grow a pod about that long with like 10 or 15 of them, basically like a black eye pea, kind of. And they go through the pea and bean sheller really easily. That's why I like them. And they wind up the trellis. They're not like, they're not quite as vigorous as other, they only get about 6 feet long at the most. But if you don't have a 6 foot support, then a 4 foot, and they'll just kind of grow down and grow back up and stuff. So they're a wonderful thing. Very good for the pollinators. Love them, and incredibly hardy. Okay. Another thing that we're doing this year, it'll be my first time growing the San Marzano paste tomato, because I got so many recommendations from you guys about the San Marzano. Okay, because I already been growing the Amish paste and and I've never grown Brandywine. So we're gonna try these out of my uncle's plot this year. And the Amish paste, I liked it. I loved it last year. But the thing about the Amish paste is that in all 4 of the garden projects that I planted them at this past year, they were the first to catch disease. They were the weakest plants you could imagine, but they still produced, even though they were nasty looking. They caught the blight before anything else did. I mean, they were looking ill, like right out of the gate almost. Not out of the gate, but like at a certain point, they just started looking ill, and they never and they did it in 4 different spots, but they still produced, and what they did produce was delicious. And they're big. They're like big. They're almost like this size, almost, except more oblong, and full of the meat. So they were. We're gonna try and grow them again and see how we're gonna try and grow them again. Ooh, Look to Nature says those purple hull cowpeas can attract yellow jackets to your fruit. I use them as a cover crop, and the yellow jackets are attracted to the sap produced by the cowpea knuckle. Be careful near the fruit. That is exactly what I noticed as well. That they were attracting wasps, some yellow jackets, but here there was a lot more wasp, and so I definitely liked that, because the wasp. I've literally sat and watched the wasp fly around the collard greens, land, and then get into its claws a cabbage worm that I didn't even see there, a little cabbage worm, and then fly off with the cabbage worm and eat it. I thought, whoa, okay, we are definitely friends. We are definitely friends. And so whatever I can do to attract more wasps to the garden, that's what we're doing. Rune Master says San Marzano are my favorite. Use them for Nate's sauce video. Unbeatable flavor. Okay, see, I've heard this so many times. That's why we're doing it. But last year, guys, we grew the Berkeley tie-dye tomato. We grew the carbon tomato, which the carbon and the Berkeley tie-dye both claim that they are better tasting than the Cherokee purple. And that claim is false, in my opinion. The Berkeley was pretty good, though. It was pretty good. You know, especially early season, it got good before the others. I mean, it was good. The Carbon just, to me, never got flavorful. I mean, it was okay. It's way better than a store-bought tomato, but nothing compares to the Cherokee Purple. The smoky flavor, the depth of it is just beyond compare. And so I pretty much, this year, I'm just going to grow Cherokee Purples back here, like 6 for slicing. You know, for eating fresh all summer. I'm going to grow like 6 Cherokee Purple plants, and then the rest are going to be the Amish Paste, the San Marzano, well, many other different kinds, but the paste ones are going to be Amish Paste, San Marzano, and probably the Roma, just because they're always they're so reliable, and I love the taste of them. But one Amish Paste tomato will be like 4 Roma tomatoes, you know? So, but I'm looking forward to the San Marzano. So we'll see. We'll see. So let's see here. Okay, so Harvesting Faith says, Amish Paste is my favorite. They do get blight fast, but they still do just fine. Okay, so I figured it wasn't just me. It was, they had to have, they have to actually get that. San Marzano comes in determinate and indeterminate varieties. Is that right? That's what that's what Wild Bill says. San Marzano, open pollinated, indeterminate. Good. Indeterminate. That's what we like. Yeah, you'll see. I'm gonna make a video about the very, very effective method of growing the least work, a very effective method of growing these type of tomatoes. Cape Gardener says, what if I add 2 or 3 cups of eggshells to 10 cups of vinegar instead of the 1 like you suggested in the calcium acetate? Give it a try. Give it a try. Number one thing is that it's a vast waste, because even the 1 to 10, it can't even, there's so much calcium in eggshells. They're like pure. You know, there's so much calcium in the eggshells that you will be wasting it dramatically. So, there's no need for that. Now, it's not going to destroy anything, but already at 1 cup, most of the times it won't even fill, or it won't even digest all of that. So, and it could boil over like a volcano, you know, but. Jeremy Ranson says 90,000 since I joined. Ooh, wow, that was a while ago. Let's see here. Someone said would you add earthworms to the tumbler? And I have tried that before, and it just doesn't really work the same way. It just didn't seem to work. You know, because it gets so hot in there. I think that's what the main thing is. When you have a compost pile, like even the black bin that we have, the 4-sided bin, the thermal mass of that is very different. And so when there's a lot of buffer, and so when the sun is baking down on it, the worms can migrate to the cooler part. And if it gets really hot for a while, they can migrate to the earth, or to right where the earth and the pile begin, and that's going to always be cool. And so in the tumbler, it just cooked them alive, because there's no earth, and it just gets hot, and it's super bacterial dominated. You know, in the tumblers are mostly bacterially dominated, because you're breaking up the fungi stuff every time that you tumble it. And so you need to, as opposed to like slow compost, which can have a fair amount of fungal activity in it, yeah, because you're not moving it and nothing's happening. You're just layering it on there. RK says, I remember when Nate was at 5,000 subs. Great to see him taking off. Yes, that was a long time ago. I mean, not that long. The channel's only a year and a half old. But yeah, that was, it took off pretty fast, because people are hungry for this kind of knowledge. But it'll be interesting to see what this year does for the channel. Yeah, RK says the carbon tomatoes are good, but love the Cherokee purple. Yeah, Cherokee purple beyond compare. But the so I grew Thorburns terracotta as well a couple years ago, and it was a free variety from Baker Creek. You know, when you order a bunch, they give you free seeds, and so I grew it. But it was very lackluster, and the color doesn't look good in paste and stuff. It gives it like a pumpkin orange kind of hue, and that's, you know, the eyes, I mean, believe it or not, or like it or not, the eyes like to eat as well. And so the seeing that dark, rich red color in the tomato sauce signals to the mind. I mean, it all works, you know, the colors and the presentation, it all works, and the flavors and the smell and all of that stuff, it's all together. And so when you've got a tomato sauce or paste that has got some kind of pumpkin orange looking stuff to it, hue to it, is like off a little bit. It's like, okay, it still tasted good, but it's like you really want to see that dark, rich lycopene, the lycopene content. Yeah. Maggie Smith says the secret is your live streams. You made your channel a community. Ooh, that's a good observation. Yes. The live streams are my favorite part. That's why I'm only just doing live streams the past month or two on this channel. The live streams are the best, because that's when we really get to like a lot of the broader knowledge and stuff. And I can see exactly what you guys are, the feel, you know, what are people thinking? What kind of questions are going on right now and stuff. Also, guys, join the Discord. Yeah. But please don't think that I'm able to like answer every question that someone asks me in the Discord. I'm just not. There's so many, you know, my attention is like pulled in so many different ways. So I don't have a social media team or anything like that. It's just me. And so, you know, I answer what I can when I can, definitely, as much as I can, while still staying sane. But when you become social media person, it's like you could spend every moment of every day just doing social media stuff, answering, you know, DMs and Instagram and Facebook and just answering and coming up with new things. And it just, so I'm finding you have to section it off. So you have to, okay, this is the time to do this, but then you have to also have off time where you're not answering questions and all that kind of stuff, because otherwise you're just 24/7 working. So yeah. That is, but the Discord is for you guys as well to share your knowledge and pictures. In particular, the pictures have been great, and I've learned a lot from the Discord and you guys' experience. So that's great. Jason Hetty says, I grew Cherokee purples this year and my family didn't like them because they weren't red tomatoes. My goodness, they're mostly red. Yeah, for slicers, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter like that. The color thing, I'm talking about the paste tomatoes. The paste, you know, the sauce. When you're using it to make something, baked ziti of some kind, or a spaghetti and meatballs, or whatever it is, you want to have that dark, rich lycopene. Shooting the soil. See, he knows about live streams because he's also got a channel. He says no editing. Yeah, he's talking about the live streams. Definitely, guys. The editing, man, if you watch the videos that I made on my Travel Like a Viking channel, back that channel, I first started making those videos like 5 years ago when I needed, before I had any social media presence at all, when I needed an outlet of expression to all these things. I had kind of just got done traveling those 10 years and I like needed to process it all. So I just started making videos about it. And those videos, there was so much editing involved. They would take me like 35 hours of just straight up editing. It was unbelievable, you know, but it was all good because that's how I was learning all that stuff. So people were like, you know, people close to me was like, well, why are you spending all that time doing that? Are you getting paid? And I was just like, well, no, but I mean, that wasn't even a question. I was like, well, not yet, but that's all just part of it. It's so much bigger than that. I wasn't thinking about, you're working 40 hours to produce a video and it only gets 100 views. I'm just not even thinking about that. I'm just thinking about, this is training for the future. This is processing the mental thing. It's so much bigger than that. And so those videos took forever to edit. And so, but you can see as the years progressed and stuff that I like the ones I just let go yesterday on the Travel Like a Viking channel. Those are pretty easy to edit. I've streamlined the whole process. I've become so much more comfortable with it all. It's just, those are a lot more different flow. It's more real. In the first videos, I scripted out. Every little word I scripted out because I didn't know how to do camera. I would freeze in front of the camera and stuff. But now I don't script anything ever. I just speak and just let it flow. It's wonderful. Elizabeth, one of my biggest fans on that channel. Yes. Elizabeth Hendricks says, all your Travel Like a Viking video editing is so appreciated. Every single thing about those videos is perfection. Oh, thank you, my friend. Yes, it really feels that way when it's your outlet of expression. It just made me feel like people have got to know. There was so many things that happened to me, and the 10 years was just like a trip. Just a whirlwind of stuff. And it was like, man, I just had to catch my breath from it. So it was wonderfully therapeutic to make those videos. Even though they're only dated 2 years ago, I made them like 5 years ago. And I just posted them all to that channel, Travel Like a Viking, 2 years ago. I just dumped like 26 videos on there. And I didn't make another one until last week and then this week. So yeah. And eventually we'll be getting to the point where I really started living in Northern California. And it's where I learned all of this stuff. And you guys will get it. I think I'm going to show, I know I'm going to show pictures of the greenhouses. I'm going to show pictures of the huge buds. And I'm going to show pictures of all my life there. It's just part of it, So eventually on that channel, we will get into all of that. Because that's a major part of where all of this knowledge comes from. The years spent in Northern California experimenting, high stakes gardening, growing nonstop, day and night. It was my passion, my whole reason for existence. Let's see. Sean Murphy says, Livestream is a good way for us to get to know each other. Nate is okay, but it's better to have more than one friend. Definitely, of course. That's what community is about, for sure. I love that you guys talk about stuff. You guys know each other and stuff, and that's great. And in the Discord as well. Jason says, Nate's a smooth operator now in the video verse. Yeah, thank you, my friend. I feel like it's super important, guys. I don't know if you feel the same, but I noticed in 2020 that we have entered into the digital age, and in particular, income. There is, when I started traveling in 2009 and stuff, online, making money online was not really a thing. It wasn't a thing until very recently, like a legitimate thing. And so I feel like one of the most important things that you guys can learn, one of the very most important skills is video editing, is making videos that you can convey messages, that you can just, because we're in the digital age now, like it or not. I resisted it for so long. For 5 years almost, I didn't even sign into social media at all, of any kind. I was total blackout in Northern California and stuff. And so I resisted it for a long time, and how invasive it seems in your life. But then I've learned that you have to utilize the technology that is given in your time period. This is the Like a Viking. Okay, the Vikings would utilize whatever the latest technology was to the best of their ability to serve their purpose and to achieve their goals. And so that's what we're going to do. We're not going to hobble ourselves by saying, no, I'm not going to use any of the technology because the electronics are so invasive and all this. Yes, it's kind of true, but you can also use it as a wonderful tool. And the thing is, if you don't use it, then you're going to get left in the dust. Then your message isn't going to get out there. If you feel like you've got a message to share, then it's not going to get out there without social media and the internet now in human society. Because this is the way that it is now. So we have to learn, okay, what's the game? What are the tools? Now let's learn to play the game and use the tools, so that we can thrive. That's the mentality. Yes, VA Green says, I started doing some video editing on my Instagram, but it's fun, but a lot of work. You ain't kidding. A lot of work. It gets easier, though. It streamlines. Definitely. Ha! Look to Nature says, most of our spouses are happy that we're not rambling on and on about the soil biome to them. Right, talking about this community. Yeah, see, that's a wonderful plus, a wonderful tool of this technology is that we get to link up with other people that have this particular type of passion, yeah, about this particular type of thing. Otherwise, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, Pam in South Africa or Matthias in the Netherlands and stuff, we would never meet. I mean, there would be never, you know? So, yeah. And RK says, my 13-year-old son has taken up video editing and thought it would be a good thing. So it's good to hear you say it is so important these days. Absolutely, and only increasingly so. Being able to take something, and for yourself, if you feel like you've got something you want to share, also for other people that because it's so much work to do the video editing that many people just say, okay, I need a video editor. I need someone that can produce for me, okay? And eventually you will be able to negotiate a percentage as your payment, and that is very important with social media. Once you get good at making social media videos, you know, if you're not the social media personality, you know, if you're not the editor and the talent itself, but you're just the editor, you will be able to negotiate in some way, and you want to go for a percentage because you could, if you're good, you will make this person explode, and that's what it's all about. Living in California, working in those farms is how I learned all about the percentage. That's what you want because it's all the more motivation to do better. So, Kermudge says, we started our YouTube about a year ago, mostly to share our lives to help others see what it is like to live in the bush. We love sharing our lives with others like you do, Nate. Oh, nice. I have not checked out your channel. This is the first time I've even seen your name, I think, here, so I will check it out after this. Stone Creek says, still trying to get this type of info across to others. They are so stuck in the old ways of gardening. Right, they definitely are. The old ways, which are actually the new old ways. The old ways are what we practice here. You know, the truly old ways. But the new old ways is like things from the 1930s onwards, from the Green Revolution onwards, the 60s and 70s and stuff, when they started pounding the land with synthetic fertilizers and petroleum-based fertilizers and stuff. So that is what most people, you know, when they start, so you till up your land and till it into oblivion, and then you dump on a bunch of 1616 fertilizer and grow Miracle Grow and stuff, and then you're good to go. And you know that's old. That's how Grandma did it. Yeah, but if you look at the span of human history, Grandma actually was still just a blink of an eye ago. That's not old. That's actually great grandma. What great grandma was doing, that's not an ancient method. You know, even your triple great grandma, that's not ancient method either. You know, it's still just a blink of an eye in the span of the human endeavor. So we have to keep that in mind. And we will see it someday. We will be looking like on a graph. Queen RB, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. So someday we will be looking back at this time period on like a graph, and it'll show like the old ways of sustaining the soil and the land, and then it'll show these new ways. Boom, boom. There will be a quick boom, peak, and then boom, quick off again. And then there will be the new old ways again. But this time period of the industrial ag, this is going to be so short-lived. The people in the future will look back at this and just in amazement, yeah, that we did this to the land. So, all right. We're almost done, guys. This is going to be the last one of this year. 2024. What are you guys doing in 2024? What are some things you're going to change in the garden? Yeah, leave it in the comments or leave it in the Discord, or just start thinking about it. And I'll start making regular videos again here in another few weeks when the time feels right. Guys, I wanted to show you this. This is a delicious sauce. Okay, it might not look that amazing right now, but it's a sauce. But here's how you do it. And you can use it for fish, salmon in particular, or vegetables as well. Here's how you do it. Miso, okay? You know what miso is. So you take equal parts of miso, of like shredded or like pulverized ginger, grated ginger, honey, raw honey, and lemon juice. Equal parts, okay? This is the secret. I mean, this is like top secret, okay? Because I make this and people try it and they're like, whoa. And then when you put it on the salmon, yes, broil the salmon for about 10 minutes and then put this on it and then broil it another 2 minutes, give or take. Oh man, super good. Try it though. Dark miso, equal parts, 1 tablespoon each, start small, of dark miso, of grated ginger, and of fresh ginger. This is very important, not powdered ginger. Honey, raw honey, and the lemon juice, freshly squeezed. And it is everything, all the taste buds is just like a party. It's unbelievable. Harvesting Faith, yeah, see, you understand, says, it's unfortunate because in such a short amount of time, we've done an immeasurable amount of damage. I'm glad that nature is resilient enough that it can be overcome with time. Yes, it will be healed in time. But the question is, on a human survival time frame, unlikely, but yeah, in such a short amount of time, the devastation that has happened is really beyond belief. Let's see. Okay, we got a couple of Lily Gonzalez, $10. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate the tip. Yes, and also Miss KC, $2. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, are you doing a Thrive live on Monday? Yes, we're gonna do a Thrive on Monday, unless something happens. But yeah, we will do a Thrive on Monday at 10:30 Eastern time. It will be the first one of the new year, and I think it's probably going to be about, hey, how to set the intention for a fantastic new year. This is what we got to do. How to get the mind right, yeah, how to get everything aligned so that we can have a year where we are thriving more than we could imagine, yeah? So, okay, guys. So check out my other channels, Thrive Like a Viking, Travel Like a Viking, and Garden Like a Viking. And let me know. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I don't think so. I will see you guys right here next time. Thank you for everything. It's been real. Ooh, look to nature, $5 right in time. Thank you very much, my friend.